Have you ever painted a wall with a broken foam brush and frozen paint? Because I have. Oh man, what is up guys? Welcome back. It looks like nothing has changed, and yet it looks like everything has changed. And I don't know if this room is too echoey, what I'll do about that even if it is. But I'm in my new house in New Jersey and I have set everything up, I believe, to my liking. But the one big change is that there is a giant window right here, and when the previous owners left, they took everything with them, even the curtain rods. Like, what use do you have for a curtain rod without the curtain hangy things? They took the curtain rods. I'm just like, okay. If you see my white balance kind of adjusting and stuff throughout the video and some future videos probably, that is why. But I am looking at a beautiful wintry landscape out here covered in snow. It is a very large change from my Texas view. So I'm hugely behind on videos, and some things are just not going to end up happening the way that I had planned them, but something that I know that you guys are still very excited to hear about and see me play with is the new and much anticipated release from Samantha Ravndahl, which is her Auric Beauty. And I picked up the Glow Lust. I have the shade Selenite, which happens to be one of my favorite stones. I won't get into all of my rock knowledge, but Selenite's a really great rock. And I also picked up two of the Smoke Reflects, one in Temper and one in Ego. Ego is the silver, I believe. Yes, and it also has this glitter topper situation like that. I think I can do this. Can I do that? Wow. And Temper is kind of a rose gold situation. So that's what she looks like in the tub. And then the glittery situation on top. This is, as you can tell, only a handful of products, 3 products. And so that's going to give us a chance to catch up a little bit while I'm putting this on my face today. So I'm going to talk through my experience with these products. Of course, I want to give you guys a really good review, and I have played with them quite a bit since I got them in the mail. The big limitation has been a filming setup, not my access to makeup. So I have had a chance to get a lot of new stuff kind of under my belt lately, and I'm super excited to share it with you guys. But that is also going to be an opportunity for me in between the lines while I'm using other products that aren't Auric Beauty to catch you guys up on what's been going on. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump in. Now, it is gonna be the first thing that I use though. Yes, I got Selenite. Selenite is the second fairest, and the fairer shade is cooler in tone. So again, I apologize. I think that my ring light is extremely bright. So maybe I'll do this. Is that easier? That's easier. I have it turned way up, and I'm not sure how helpful that is. We're gonna go with it for now, just for continuity's sake. So Sam talks about how she can use kind of the first 3 shades probably. You know, it's not something where you have to get an exact shade match on this. And this is definitely not something that you have to use, and I am a big fan of pulling out a tool. You don't have to pull out a tool on this. And she did compare it in a video recently to the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, because of course that's sort of the first, most mainstream product. There are a lot of this kind of product on the market, but that's the most mainstream one that comes to mind when people see this. Is they're like, how does it compare to the Hollywood Flawless Filter? I've used the Hollywood Flawless Filter many times. I don't have it anymore, but I don't recall it being this serum-y. It was more liquidy, makeup-y, like liquid powder, whereas this has this really, really nice serum consistency to it, and it has just the prettiest, most wearable, nourishing kind of highlight effect on the face without, I feel like, accentuating things too badly. But I mean, if you look closely enough, obviously, especially on camera, anything with a little bit of reflect in it is going to show a little bit more of your pores, but it's also going to have just a touch of coverage, which, I mean, this one does, which is nice, especially for those of us who are out here just for a skin tint. This gives me skin tint vibes with very, very little coverage, but it's a thing. I should have actually kicked this portion of the video off by saying, if you have been to my channel before, you know that I have kind of a long-standing questionable relationship with what I call shimmer goos. I just get frustrated with companies putting out shimmer goos because they tend to be just like a liquid suspension for, you know, what have you, some kind of either micro shimmer or glitter or anything in between. And it always looks good on like a 19-year-old's face, and they put it in natural lighting and it makes you look like you're gonna have this youthful dewy glow. And then you get it in your hands and you're 34 years old, and you know, me, and it just doesn't really have a practical application on your face. Like, you get it and you're like, what do I do with this? It doesn't fit into my routine. And so I always am going to come in with a skeptical standpoint on a shimmer goo, but as shimmer goos go, this one is extremely functional, and I like that about it. It's very much, it behaves very much like you know, a lightweight skin tint foundation. I wouldn't say that it has a dry down necessarily. It doesn't feel like it goes, you know, silicone-y mattifying or anything like that. It's kind of like the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, a little lighter weight than that. It feels more like a complexion product than just a shimmer goo. And I think for the sake of making this valuable, I'm going to simply leave that as my base complexion product and just go in with some concealer on top, because that's actually how I've been wearing it. It's how I would wear it, you know, just me. And that's because I like seeing my freckles and stuff through it, and I think it does a really good job of adding just enough coverage, blur, and like healthy bounciness without adding a whole bunch of pigment, because if it were really pigmented, it would have a pretty stark contrast against my neck. But it's almost like a skincare product meets a complexion product, which I really like. And if, I mean, I know I'm like the last person on planet Earth to be reviewing this right now, so you've probably already seen the packaging, but I was even more impressed in person with the packaging than I was when I saw it online. I thought that this drip situation right here was going to be kind of cheesy, but it's actually symmetrical, and I feel like it's like really strong branding. I was also expecting the bottle to be perfectly cylindrical, and it's not. It's kind of like an oval cross section, which I think is just such an interesting touch, you know? So glass, we love that. You know, if you haven't watched Samantha's video introducing the brand, I highly recommend that you do, because there's no way I'm going to be able to illuminate all of her instincts that motivated the choices that she made behind the brand, because I think that they were really brilliant. Before we get into all of the eyeshadows and whatnot, we can go ahead and get into the rest of my complexion here. I'm gonna just be working with the stuff that I've been working with lately. and then we can kind of chat about everything that's been going on in my life. So if for some reason you didn't catch my last video, but just sort of noticed that I've been conspicuously absent for the last couple of upload days, it is because we have had quite a time recently. So since I had Simon 4 months ago, a little over 4 months ago, brush. We had been contemplating our next move because I just didn't really want to stay in Austin, and I didn't want to disrupt his existence as he got older. It's kind of, you know, less and less ideal as they get into school and stuff. And I invite you to go and check that video out if you haven't already, but the bottom line is we ended up moving to New Jersey. So we basically packed all of our stuff up, extremely stressful, and it took, you know, a better part of like 10 days to get here. And then we had to hire moving companies on either side. It's just been a very, very expensive, headachy sort of thing. And we are in what I can only describe as a used home. Used being the opposite of new. Our last house was brand new. Now this house, you know, has one thing that you cannot get in Austin, Texas for an affordable price, and that is character. And I know that character is kind of like when, I don't know, it's like a cheesy term that they use to kind of disguise things being inconvenient and old. But this house is only 20 years old, and it does still have a lot of the things that I like, but it also has a lot of things that don't make any darn sense. Like our master closets have windows in them. Giant, beautiful, light pouring in windows inside the closet, which you would think meant that someone added the closet kind of as an afterthought, but it doesn't look like they did either way. We just have so many like outstanding tasks right now as far as like everything that needs to get done that has a lot to do with inheriting a house and all of its quirks from someone else instead of inheriting it from a builder. I will say about the Glow Lust, it doesn't not make your face sticky. Like I said, it does not have its own dry down really, and so it just is one of those things. It's just like any other skin tint where it just everything kind of starts to fly towards your face. I also have this fancy zit underneath my nose. Oh man, it was so painful. Let's go in with some blush, shall we? Actually, I want my bronzer as well. We're gonna go in with all Salt New York today. I lied. I just realized that my smaller Salt New York palette is in my bathroom because I was using it. So we're gonna go in with some Fenty here for my bronzer. Like I mentioned, I painted over a gigantic mural here yesterday. This was a little boy's room in the last ownership. And it had a mural that was in what we can basically devise to be Met's colors. And so it was orange and blue and kind of a beige color all in this like geometric design. And it just kind of didn't go with my aesthetic, you know? And so I went hunting around our strange labyrinthian basement and I found some paint that I thought was the right paint color. It wasn't. It was close, but it was not the right paint color. And so I painted a whole, what I called a crumb coat on the wall first and kind of covered a lot of said mural. And then I found the actual pot of paint that was in the garage, and it's winter time. And so she was a slushie. And so I turned it over to shake it. They hadn't closed it all the way, so I splashed a bunch of paint all over my hardwood floors and had to clean that up. And then I asked Mike if we had any paintbrushes, and he said no. He was wrong, spoiler alert, I found some later. But in the meantime, what we were able to find were some sponge brushes, like, you know, the craft kind, the ones that have a wooden handle and a big, you know, square like this of just like cheap black foam with like a piece of something inside that holds it up. And what did I do? I painted the whole wall behind me, the first shade, which was wrong, and then like 3 coats of the right shade, and I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes in, it snapped off the handle, and so I am painting with the foam thing just on my hand like this, and yeah, someone called me crazy, but my mother-in-law said that I am a woman on a mission, and I like that. So there, now we have some bronzer, and we're gonna go in with some Salt New York here. Let's go in with spice. Seems appropriate. I haven't worked with these in a long time, and I don't have a good reason why. But yeah, I posted on my Instagram, we had 10 deer just moseying on our property, not even frolicking, not in any hurry whatsoever, just hanging out and just crossing on their normal everyday path. And it is, it's pretty common actually. And I'm surprised my dog isn't like freaking out about it. But he just kind of sat and watched them. We also got the cats back yesterday. So we had been staying with my in-laws for the last like 10 days or so, and technically like quarantining basically, because if you are curious about how it all worked out, the flight was seamless. The night before we were about to leave, you know, we were packing things up, and Mike found the rain hood that goes over our stroller, and I was like, oh my god, it's a virus force field. And so I kept Simon inside of that while we were flying. I mean, it ended up being like a game changer. It made it so good for my peace of mind. Let's wait on the other blush color until we do my eyes, because I think that that's gonna make a decision for me. So I have spice on right now, and I think it looks really, really pretty. Okay, let us go in now with the actual Auric eyeshadows that are called Smoke Reflect or Smoke Reflect, however you want to say that. And I have, like I said, had the chance to play with these, and I did not order the like brown gold, the gold one, because it looked like a very warm gold. And there is Ego and Temper. Ooh, the pretty. And I will say that, you know, she calls this a silver. It is definitely cool gray, but it does have a little bit more of like a charcoaly thing to it that I think it makes it a little bit more user friendly, because I can't wear like a super, super icy silver. It does lean a touch blue on some skin tones that I'm seeing, but if you watch like Samantha put this stuff on, she's so warm complected, or at least that's how my eye perceives it, that like it's probably gonna look different on me than it does on her, either of these. I'm gonna start with Temper because it is the easier one for me to wear, just being, you know, a blush color. But they are very finger friendly, even though I am not a particularly finger friendly person. I'm going to put these on with my finger and then I'll blend them out with a brush. But super, super beautiful on every skin tone that she has, you know, these models of all skin tones and everything. And I feel like this is just such an inclusive release, even though obviously it's, you know, in limited products, there's only 2 products, but I always say, do not come out with a menagerie of products that I have to add up to an okay experience. You know, put out hero products at a slower pace and people are going to, you know, trust the brand more. And I feel like that's kind of what she had in mind here. So I am going to take my Thrive, which one is this? Eyeshadow crease brush. Great for creams. I do somewhere. I did buy the Rare Beauty brush. We'll use that in a second. I bought the Rare Beauty cream brush, the cream eyeshadow brush, and I like it, but it doesn't kind of lend itself to just the mobility that something like this does. I wanna get this. Ew, no. I have an Amazon order out right now for groceries, and they were like, do you wanna replace a pound of ground pork, which I would use for spaghetti, with ground veal meatloaf? I'm like, that's the best you could do. Really? Oh, fam, I don't want to be that person, but I totally am that person. Mercury retrograde is hilarious right now. It is, moving during Mercury retrograde is not something that I would ever advise. Okay, I'm going to actually use that Rare Beauty brush. I'm gonna stick that right on in there, and that's what we're gonna use for underneath my eyes. So this shape is actually really interesting, and I appreciate you guys recommending this because it is a good cream brush. It's like what it's meant for. It's a good shape for getting underneath my eye. It's the right size, but it's not super great for the, like the crease. Very, very pretty color. I'm sticking my finger in something, I can feel it, okay. Rosy on me, a nice texture, and while it doesn't completely dry down, so it isn't going to like be totally crease free, the topper helps kind of dry it out a little bit and make it wear a little bit longer. And I don't know whether to keep this thing on there. It comes with this little plastic guy and I'm like, okay, sure, I'll put that on there. I'm gonna go in with Ego before I go in with the toppers, I think. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let's do it. Yeah, this is going to be a very cool toned kind of crease situation here. And for everyone critical of this release because it didn't feel original, like I hear you on that. I don't think that every single release, even if it's someone that you love, like they still have to earn your money. For me, my buying something is not a referendum on whether I think you should buy it. We've talked about this before, but I am not a makeup hobbyist. I take a lot of, I don't know, just personal responsibility for having an authoritative opinion. I'm not loving how that's looking. An authoritative opinion on popular releases like this, and while I do love Samantha, I just feel like you're always playing on the spectrum of, you know, something being totally original, and then the other end of the spectrum, things being really well worn and really easy to wear. And so somewhere in the middle is what we're looking for, something that catches our magpie eye, but also feels like, you know, homey enough that and wearable enough that we feel comfortable buying it and using it. And it's a tough balance to strike for anybody. So I feel like she kind of erred on the side of wearability, but not so far that it's like a Rare Beauty release where you're kind of like, these are like super wearable in the sense that I literally already own all these colors. I'm using a little bit more of Temper and blending that into Ego and getting a little bit more pink in the gray of it all. And so, yeah, I do think that these are original enough, but I do wish that there was a little bit more of a spectrum. It's sort of like Victoria Beckham in the sense that I'm like, why did it take you so long to put out like a functional brown eyeliner or something, you know? There's just intuitive stuff that I feel like, it must just be intuitive for me and not for everybody else. And so there are some exciting things. I do think that Ego is an uncommon shade. I don't think that everybody necessarily thinks an initial release is going to include kind of like a blue leaning like charcoal silver. So, you know, she did. She kind of walked that line really well. That is freaking gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Let's go in with some of the little topper shades and I'll give you guys my feelings on these. So there are the corresponding shimmery guys. This is Ego and this is Temper. And believe your eyes on this because the shade Ego is very impactful, has a lot of just wapow on the eyelid. And I feel like the glitter for Temper, it just is like not giving me everything that I want. And they have a very similar texture to the pan of glitter that's in the Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize palette. You know, not quite the same as the Hourglass Scattered Light. It's a little bit more compact than that. And I'm going to start with Temper on my finger and use that kind of how you would think, you know? But as you can see, it's just, it's pretty, but it's like not what I was hoping for as a corresponding glitter to go with that shadow. Whereas the corresponding glitter that goes with Ego is like massive. It has this instant foiled effect or like, I don't know, a really strong glitter effect. And this one's just a lot more subtle. So I'm gonna use that up here, blendy, blendy. And then I think I'll just go underneath my eye a little bit with the Ego. Use it kind of as, oh my gosh, but it's like so much more, I don't know, I hate the word impactful. It has more impact. Impactful is like something that, a word that we created in like the marketing industry, and I truly hate it. Impactful. It's like taking away learnings. So that fell out a little bit underneath my eyes, but that's okay. And I want to use something that will highlight the right way here. And I think I'm going to go in with the Auric Beauty Supernova Crush Diamond Highlighter here on that same pencil brush. Just wipe it off a little bit. I think that'll kind of match us for texture, but also give us the brightness that you need. It's just like a painting, guys. Once you've got all of your local color down, you always add your depth in and then you add your highlights in, and that is what makes the eye believe the illusion. Oh my God, something that I have lived without this entire time has been my eyeliner brush that I'm obsessed with. I have not done my eyeliner properly in like 2 weeks. Oh, I missed you. I missed you so much. Oh my gosh. In the interest of letting these stand on their own for the sake of this review, I am not going to add any more eyeshadow, but I will say a full glitter look is not something that I would typically do, just because I don't think glitter in the crease is always the most flattering thing, especially as your skin matures. I'm not gonna say it's off limits, there are no rules in this kind of thing, but if it were me, I would probably add something just a little bit more matte in the crease. But I don't think it looks bad. What am I going to use for my mascara today? Oh, am I gonna make a whole video on this? I don't wanna make a whole video on this. This is the Victoria Beckham mascara, the thing that broke my no-buy. And I, kind of like it. I really like this little brush. I'm planning on it, okay? I'm going to do a full tubing mascaras roundup once I try all of the ones that you guys have recommended to me and everything, because I know that the first thing in your brain is, well, I don't need more than one mascara, Khaki. Do I buy Victoria Beckham or do I buy Thrive? Or do I buy Hourglass? Or do I, you know? So I'm gonna do that, don't worry. Oh, your girl needs a brown mousse. Brown mousse. Now that I said it, I was like, oh, this doesn't have enough pigment in the actual complexion product to show a contrast against my neck. I still feel like there's a little bit of contrast against my neck just because it is a slightly warmer product, so I might pull a little bit of it down onto my neck and see what we can see. I also think it was kind of bold for her to, I mean, granted, she is a huge cream product fan. I would not expect Samantha to put out like a full line of powders. We would all be like, what? But it is not necessarily always a grouping of products, cream products in general, that reads really well on camera. And so I do think that it was cool of her to do that anyway. And I know that she also has, you know, what she would probably call problem skin, acne prone skin. And so it has a lot of texture to it. And so I do think that she took that into consideration too when it comes to whether or not a highlighty dewy product is going to accentuate those kinds of things, because she is always in search of things that won't, basically. That you can still get the glow even if your skin isn't like perfect underneath. So that's incredibly beautiful, right? We like that very, very muchly. I think that in terms of more blush, the more blush situation, since we were going to go in with some more, I want to go with something pretty cool toned. I think I might just tap some of the rose color on, or maybe wine. Wine's kind of warm, but just do, yeah. Is wine warm, or I can't remember whether blackberry or wine is the warm one, but just a little bit. Oh, I think my baby's awake. I hear a little bell. Everything in my life jingles right now. All right, let's throw on a lip and then we will talk final thoughts. Okay, so gonna go in with some basics here. My khaki lip liner. I sent one of these to Hannah Louise Poston, and she says it's her ideal neutral brown liner, and I was like, thank you. Also, I'm just spoiling everything here because all this stuff I basically bought to do like individual reviews on, but we're just so far behind on everything. It is Mauve Wives from Fenty, and it is this gorgeous lavender shade. And I would typically pronounce the word mauve, but I think that the pun only works if you say mauve. Mauve Wives, like Mob Wives, you know? And I was like, can I wear something that's that lavender and it actually work on my skin? And the answer, as it turns out, I think is yes. Especially the way that Ego and Temper kind of mix with each other. They make a kind of cool toned pinky purple. And I think it goes really nicely with the other stuff. There's a lot of my complexion showing through right now. I did say I was going to put a little bit more of the Glow Lust. And I've seen her use it as a highlighter too. See, it's a little bit warm for me. I wonder if I shouldn't have gotten the really cool toned one. And I'll just take a little bit of it and do it as a highlighter since I came out and said it, right? Because it has enough translucence that you can put it on top of other stuff and it doesn't take away the impact of the blush, which is nice. And it's a very natural looking highlighty shimmer. Not bad. All right, so quickly about the brand. The Glow Lust Radiant Luminizer comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shades. It retails for $45, and the Smoke Reflect Cream and Powder Eyeshadow Duo, they come in 3 shades, and it is $39 for the 2 shades. And that to me, sorry, the 2 shades, the 2 formulas per shade. That to me is a very like luxury price point, and I think that, you guys always hear me say this, if I'm going to pay for a luxury experience, if I'm going to pay for a luxury experience, I want to get a luxury experience. Like, I don't mind paying for it, just make sure that it's eye champagne, you know? And this does strike me as the kind of experience you get with like a Tom Ford shadow or a Charlotte Tilbury shadow or any other of those brands where you are paying this much for a product like that, like Hourglass and stuff. You know, Sam is the one who called out Hourglass because she was like, hey, I've always defended you guys as cruelty-free brand and the quality of your products, and yet you can't be inclusive with your shade ranges. You kind of really see Samantha's whole story culminating into these products and the way that she not only informed the color choices and the formulas, but also like the price point, the packaging, packaging and things like that. It really rings true to her, and I think that the prices, while not inexpensive, are justified by the quality of these products. Now, I'm going to kind of partition my final thoughts here between, is this a really good product and is this for me? So, is this a really good product? If you are a fan of, like I said, like a really beautiful skin tint and you want something with low coverage but a little bit of reflectiveness, skincare meets highlighter. It's not just a glow goo. It's not just a shimmer goo. I would absolutely say that the Glowless hits the marks. Absolutely. It's really beautiful. You get quite a bit of product in here. You get 1.18 fluid ounces for your, what was it, $45? And this is gonna last you ages. I used a pump on my face and like a half a pump on my neck, and I probably could have gotten away with doing even less. The bouncy texture, I think a lot of people are gonna find really, really satisfying. There is something really nourishing feeling about it without it feeling really heavy. It's not oily or greasy, but it does have like a dewy serum-y consistency. And I do love the texture that it leaves on the skin. So I think that if you're going into it with those expectations, it hits all the marks. There's nothing funky or weird about it. There's no smells. There's nothing that's going to be just like super objectionable. I feel like she went in with what she knew she really liked, and she like nailed that specific kind of formula for this. And with the eyes, you know, are you going into this wanting something with that really gorgeous, like unctuous texture that you get from Tom Ford or Charlotte Tilbury, you know, cream shadow in the pot, and the kind of topper that you would probably want to use with it anyway? I think that she really nailed that. The only thing that I would say about the formula is that it's a little bit inconsistent between the pigmentation between the shades. So like the Ego shade, like I showed you guys before, the topper is really high impact, whereas the topper for the Temper shade is a little bit disappointing. I don't know whether I need to like really dig my finger in there, but it's a pretty translucent shade on me, and it's very, very pretty, but I just don't really feel like it's just not what I was expecting. I wanted something a little bit more whoop-pow from that specific topper. So that would be my only real criticism of these, as far as the differential between the intent and what she actually put out, just because they are different. If they were both the same, I would say, okay, well, her intent was consistent, but I feel like there's just a little bit too much of a difference between the two formula shades, you know? Now, is this for me? I don't usually get super excited about an eyeshadow. Just in general, I like a glitter. I like things that have a good amount of like fun to them. And so that's why I was just a little bit more disappointed with the Temper shade, because from my own personal taste, if I'm going to choose a color in a formula like this or a set of formulas like this, I'm gonna be really, really excited about the rose gold. You know, it's a blushy tone. I can wear it with so many things. So yeah, it was a little bit personally disappointing because I really, really wanted Temper to be my new holy grail, and it's good, but it's not perfect. And Ego is not a shade that I'm going to reach for super duper often, because I did use this all over my eyes at one point, and you guys know how these things work. Cool tones make things recede from the eye, and so if you use this all over your whole lid and you are like me with kind of teeny tiny little close together eyes, you're gonna find it's gonna make your eyes look a little bit more teeny tiny and closer together, you know? It's only going to accentuate the smallness, and so you need to play it up with some warmer tones in order to trick the eye that, you know, your eyelids still exist, and like, you know, bring the highlight back into it, because a cool tone all over like this, it runs against all of the things that I'm trying to accomplish on my eyes, but it's still very, very beautiful. And as far as the Glowless, I think that this is a courageous thing to put out. First, because she's not putting it out as a foundation. She's putting it out as kind of like a universal complexion formula. And for that reason, it could be overlooked because of the shimmer goo quality of it. There are a lot of things on the market that are kind of like this. And I think that that criticism is sound, but I do think that this is special. I don't think that it's crazy overpriced for a complexion product, especially if this becomes something you use as often as a skin tint, because I absolutely would. I would use this the same way that I would use a skin tint, because it just has this beautiful luminosity to it, without a whole lot of coverage, and then you can kind of iterate on top of that with the coverage that you want, which is what a lot of us are looking for in a skin tint anyway. It's just like, give my skin something that's a base layer that enhances what I've got going on, but like, don't give me something that's gonna blank all my features out and make me start over and make me look makeup-y at the end of the day. I think that this, especially for something that's kind of shimmery, is gonna be really beautiful on a lot of different skin ages and maturities, because it has almost like the minerally mica thing. She said that she didn't put a lot of mica in there because as it went into the deeper skin tones, it started to take on a little bit of a blue cast, and it was like too icy on their skin, and like ashy is the word. But there is mica in this, and mica is just something that gives products like this that really beautiful luminosity, that lit from within radiant thing. And a lot of times that's sort of what you're looking for with a skin tint, is like, give me bounce, give me blur, and give me that beautiful like lit from within je ne sais quoi. And this does that. Whether that's something that belongs in your routine, that's up to you. I just always like to give you guys, you know, a feel of what the product is truly like. So let me get close here. Are you guys able to see it? I'm so sorry if my lighting's not good. We'll give it a shot, because I shoot raw, and so everything looks gray until I enhance it. So hopefully you guys are like able to like see my pores and everything the way that I would want. That's why I paid for, you know, a 4K camera. But those are my thoughts on Auric. I'm super excited that this is a really good release. I'm excited for Samantha. I think this is a really cool next step in Samantha's presence, you know, online. Like, you can tell she really gave a damn. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Auric. If you have any other thoughts, questions, ask them down below. I will be happy to try to help explain them. I don't know. And let me also know about the lighting, what you guys think I should do. I'm sure that there will be people kind of sounding off in the comments being like, turn up your aperture, lower your ISO, whatever. I have no idea. I don't understand how cameras work. I just fiddle until something looks right. So definitely welcome the help. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching my first video back. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you guys so much for watching, for hanging out with me today. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Also, go follow me on Instagram, because we're really close to 10,000. Bye, guys.